Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 44 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choi. What's up? So this week something that I love is moss on buildings, or ivy. I like that a plant can grow right on a building. I've actually never been to Wrigley Field, but I'm down to go someday. Anyway, for more about this podcast, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. The Instagram handle is People We Love Podcast, and you can find me on Instagram as well. That's Adam Choit, my name, ADAMCHOIT, if you want to follow me also. Remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes are really appreciated also. So today's guest is stand-up comedian Willie Simon. Born in Long Beach, California, and growing up on Maui, Willie now resides in Los Angeles, where he brings his silly and upbeat style to the stage. For most of his life, Willie has loved comedy, but he also discovered music and playing guitar at a young age. And while he's a comedian, Willie credits one particular free-spirited musician as being his number one creative and artistic influence. That's the one and only Jimi Hendrix. Let's do this. Here's Willie Simon. So it's good to see you today, Willie Simon. Thank you for dropping by the studio. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me, Adam. It's great to be here, man.
Oh, for sure. It's better to be here than where we just were.
Dude, it was a great time for me. Dude.
It was a great time for you. We were just at a local watering hole watching the Jets lose by many points to the New England Patriots.
I thought you were going to say the Jets game. I was like, nah, man, that was a Patriots game.
Yeah.
At that point. When you lose 33-0.
33-0, yeah. No, it was sad. This fella, you're a Patriots fan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I had a lot of family from Boston. Every time someone says they're a Patriots fan, you have to justify why you're a Patriots fan.
And say how long you've been a Patriots fan.
Yeah, exactly.
And give an explanation.
Yeah, you can't just be like, oh, I like Tom Brady.
Yeah,
you
know
know
for sure.
That's not like
Are they your favorite football team?
It's them and
NFL team.
I like the Patriots and the Lions growing up, just because I grew up in Hawaii. So it's in Hawaii. There's no teams. You know,
right.
There's nothing.
The Hawaii Rainbows.
Yeah, there's the UH.
College
Exactly.
team.
No, there's UH, and a lot of people are diehard UH fans. I don't like college football. I could never get into it.
Me neither. I'm the same way.
It was just there's too much going on.
There's too many players that change. Like NFL and pro sports teams, the players are changing teams every year. So like college is like
it's even worse.
More so, yeah. How do you get invested?
Exactly, dude. Well, and plus, like, at least with like in pros, like the best players are gonna be there for 12 years, 15 years. You know what I mean? Like in college, the most someone has, if you're really good, is like 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. They don't even say 4 years. If you're good, you're gonna be gone. So
go to the NFL as soon as you can, because that's where the money is.
It's hard to get emotionally invested. So why don't we forget about the debacle from earlier tonight, and we'll get into something perhaps more pleasant, your life and your story and what inspires you. So why don't you tell me about your life, and we can start from birth in the hospital. What do you remember from the ride home?
Dude, it was scenic. It was foggy, probably.
Hawaii was foggy in the.
Well, I was born in Long Beach.
That's right.
In right here in LA, and so it was probably smoggy and disgusting and full of homeless people or something.
Yeah, great.
Well, the whole drive home did.
Set the scene.
Yeah, exactly. But I lived in Long Beach until I was like 5, 6. Don't remember a lot. Remember going to school and my friends and stuff, but
you don't have any significant memories, any significant positive memories, negative memories.
No, I remember liking it. I remember enjoying it, and my friends were cool, and I was pissed to leave.
Yeah,
that was I remember finding out we're moving to Hawaii, and I was like, Hawaii sucks. I want to stay in Long Beach.
I was the same way, and I did not move across an ocean or whatever. I went from one town in Long Island to another town on Long Island when I was about the same age, 5, 6, and that was traumatic.
Yeah,
moving 12 miles.
No, so, well, I mean,
east.
even being in Long Island, it's not like you're going to a better place. You're still in Long Island. You know what I mean? Like, I was moving to a much better place all around. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, you don't know until you get there.
Oh, exactly. When you're 5, it's not in your mind. But to my parents, it was like, hell yeah, we're getting the fuck out of L.A. We're going to Hawaii, baby.
So you don't have much memories from L.A. and nothing super positive. From Long Beach, you said you lived?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, not really about there. I moved to Hawaii when I was 6. And,
yeah, and what do you remember from when you first got to Hawaii?
I remember it was just alien. You know what I mean? It's a totally different place than anywhere in the mainland U.S. You know what I mean?
And which island were you on living?
Maui.
That's not the biggest. Is that the biggest island?
No. The biggest island is It's called the Big Island in
Yeah.
Hawaii. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
So we don't get confused.
Right. Smart.
Yeah.
I'm pointing at my head right now. I'm pointing at my brain.
Yeah, exactly. That's that Hawaiian math right there. It's called Hawaii. Also, the main island is called Hawaii, and so it's just easier to call it Big Island. But I grew up in Maui, which is like the big tourist island.
Right.
That's where all the fucking. That's where Sally Mae went to go vacation. It's like, like it's the.
Is your family in the tourism business in some capacity?
My dad ended up getting into real estate. And my mom, she'd work at the hotels and all that stuff to make money. She was a personal trainer there for a little while, doing she would like run towels and stuff and wash clothes and stuff.
And you have
definitely like the hotels. Pretty much anyone who lives in Maui
is working in that business
somehow is connected. Exactly.
And you had a brother you said?
Little sister.
She's younger.
Yeah, she's 20 right now. She's 21. I hope she doesn't listen. I hope she doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, she don't remember anything from Long Beach. Hopefully she doesn't hear this, and she probably all she probably knows is Hawaii. Is what it sounds like. If she's younger than you.
Yeah, she's basically just Hawaii girl, kind of.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a fun place, man. It was great. Once I settled in, I couldn't imagine staying in LA, man. It was awesome.
Did you feel like you were far away from things? I mean, maybe this came later when you understood more geography and where the hell you were. But when you were 6, 7, 8, did you feel like you were far away from?
Well, like here's an example.
Does that make
sense? I don't remember 9/11 because I was just so detached from everything. Like it was just far away from me.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
It's like I
don't know why.
I was totally old enough to remember it.
Yeah,
and it was just like it seems pretty fast in New York. It's not.
Yeah, we have.
That's 5,000 miles away.
We have volcanoes and explosions here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna stop now.
There's an eruption once.
This is gonna be my last podcast, I think.
Yeah, you're gonna piss off all the Hawaiians. All 200 of them left.
All your people and all of my people in New York are going to be filled with hate and rage towards us.
Yeah, we're only gonna have LA left after this thing.
Yeah, basically. All right. What about in Hawaii? What about age? Ages 8, 9, 10. Once you started to get settled, did you make a lot of friends? What was?
Yeah, I was always a personable
settled?
guy. I was never had a hard time making friends. It was my parents divorced when they moved to Hawaii too, which kind of makes the whole moving to Hawaii thing kind of seem like a save the marriage idea. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, I mean we can get into this as deeply as you want to. So they got separated and divorced after you guys had moved.
Yeah, so after we had moved, they split.
Yeah.
They lived pretty close to each other in the same
Everyone
town.
Stayed in Hawaii.
Yeah, they all stayed in Hawaii. They all stayed in the same town in Maui too. So it was like 10-minute drive. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, they don't run into each other as much just because it's. I feel like my parents are in different tax brackets.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Like my mom's kind of like middle lower class. My dad's on middle upper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
you're getting everyone.
They don't hang out in the right.
I didn't realize that I was going to be getting into so much trouble, or there would be so much trouble caused here on this podcast.
Yeah, man.
You're going to cause internal trouble in your family. We're causing geopolitical trouble in the East Coast.
I mean, they know it. My mom will say the same thing. My dad will too. It's that's just how. That's how splits go sometimes, and then all of a sudden you get divorced and you can't afford the stuff you could afford before, you know what I mean? And that's kind of...
Yeah, do you feel like because your parents split up and that was kind of like, unfortunate for you that you feel like... So in a sense, you feel like you can just say whatever you want about that. It's like, you guys, you messed up. You got divorced. You guys, weren't both there together for me, so I can just talk. I can say whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
I'm free to criticize. That's part of the deal is when you mess up, I'm free to
exactly
publicly criticize you guys on a podcast.
100%. I can talk about a divorce because it's also happened to me. You know what I mean? It was their breakup, but it was my parents splitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
true.
a big difference.
It's a breakup for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's one thing to I feel like have a breakup with a girlfriend and see your parents fall apart, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not like a girlfriend's the same as a wife, but I don't know. I think it's more impactful to kids. It's not like it's a traumatic, horrible thing that happened to me, but I feel like you can talk about it.
You said
I was like 7.
Yeah.
So it was right after we moved. And then shortly after my mom came out as gay. Wow. And so that was probably part of it too.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Oh my goodness.
I imagine that played a factor.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask where did you get your sense of humor from, but I might have to hold on to that question. And
yeah, dude.
And how did you react? How did you and your family react to that news?
I mean, it was just my mom. It was fine. I do a story about it on stage, but it's
I have a feeling
finding out. I remember we and my friend were playing video games, and at the same time I found out my mom was gay. He beat me in Mario Kart. So it was all these emotions. Like, I'm angry, but I'm also finding out my mom is a lesbian. And I'm like also finding out what a lesbian is, too, because I'm 8 years old and I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, you're not angry at her for who she is.
No, not at all.
You're kind of, I'm guessing, not to put words in, but I'm guessing you're like a little bit confused and you're almost like betrayed because you feel like you knew someone and you don't. Is that what it is? More
yeah,
than
100%. It was that, like, I thought I knew everything about my mom. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was upsetting. And plus, in like, what year was it? It was 2000, 2002, 2003. You know what I mean? So it's not a time where being gay is commonplace and in the media and in the news and you see it. You don't really know what it is. You don't when you're a kid.
A lot.
It's
even a short period of time.
Yeah, exactly. And just the last 15, 20 years, it's been huge leaps and bounds. And so it's I didn't understand even what it was. Like that was part of finding out my mom was gay was finding out what gay is.
Yeah.
So it kind of comes together.
I think your mom, everyone's learning everything on the fly.
Yeah, exactly. We're all just shifting stuff. But it was it's a funny story. But it wasn't traumatic at all. It wasn't like anything shocking. It was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess she's gay now.
Yeah.
That's great. Hell yeah.
She's
happy for you.
She's just mom.
Yeah, exactly. More importantly, she's mom.
Just know, no matter what you are, no matter what you pursue in your life, you're mom first. And
exactly. Your kids don't give a shit.
You're never going to be able to transcend. You're always just going to be mom to me.
No, that's the thing. It's like, it's never like, I'm going to hate my mom for it. Like, why would I do that? That's horrible. Like, that's insane.
I feel like it's, you see your parents, maybe just me, but I think as you get older, you realize your parents are people and they have their own wants, needs, desires, and priorities and things they like to do and enjoy that
exactly
do not revolve around us, believe it or not.
Well, everyone has their thing, exactly, you know what I mean? And, I mean, my thing is doing stand-up, If my mom was doing stand-up all the time not paying attention to me, that'd be worse than being a lesbian.
Of course. I would think so. Where do you get your sense of humor? Is it from your mom or your dad or both? Or is it from
my dad's a really funny guy. It's been a weird journey so far. You know what I mean? It's probably
it sounds like it. Just in the last
some nature, some nurture. You know what I mean? Just like how you know if you're gay or not.
I guess maybe
some nature, some nurture. That's what the research is.
It could be different for everyone. Different percentages. Who the hell knows? Okay, so you're in Hawaii. You're getting settled. You're sort of enjoying. You're playing basketball there. Your mom's gay, but she doesn't live far away from you guys. What's life like at 10, 11, 12, and late elementary school, middle school? What are you interested in?
I started playing football when I was in 5th grade, and that's where I got the name Willie, actually. It was Willie McGinnis, the Patriots linebacker.
Of course I know Willie McGinnis, yes.
Yeah, he probably put a good whooping on some Jets QBs
I'm
back
sure
in the day.
over the years, yes.
He's a commentator now, actually, which is
I've seen him on TV.
which is funny because I don't know, when your childhood football heroes got old, you're like, damn it, I'm getting old now.
Yeah,
this is bullshit.
It happens to all of us. Happens to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like my first guy. Was like fucking Willie McGinnis.
You played linebacker?
50. I played linebacker a little bit in high school, but in what the hell, in Pop Warner, I was mostly like a tight end, defensive end. I was kind of a bigger kid, but I was a little fast. I'm 5'11", I'm 205.
Yeah, you're you're bigger. You're bigger than you look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
definitely kind of like big.
Yeah, exactly. I don't seem huge, but I got like dense bones. You know what I mean?
You
like,
got dense bones. Can you use that as part of your? Can that be your brand?
Yeah,
can
right.
That be the title.
Dense Bone Willie Simon. That's like my blues name.
Yeah.
Willie Dense Bone Simon.
Maybe that could be your comedy. Our HBO Netflix. Willie Simon. I got dense bones. That could be your title.
Yeah, I played football, or I played fullback and linebacker in high school, and so that was like my peak. I was about the same size now as I was then, but like more muscle.
You got
and shit,
the name Willie. Then your name is not Willie.
It's William.
William, okay.
Yeah, and
But
so it just
people just started calling you Willie then.
Yeah, I just started. People started calling me Willie. I had a coach who he was like Willie Beeman every time he'd see me, and I was like this 7-year-old white kid. I had no idea what he was talking about. And so he or 10-year-old white, but he that's where I kind of got it going, and then I was like,
so
that's
now
just
you're
like Willie McGinnis.
You're Willie. You're Willie on social media. You're Willie online. You're Willie and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You're Willie all the time.
Yeah.
What
so
about
that's
your family? Did they embrace Willie?
Yeah, my mom and still calls me William, but my dad calls me Willie.
Yeah.
Because he's the homie, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, "What's up, Willie?"
Yeah, I'm learning a lot. I'm putting all the pieces together. That's cool. So you're playing football. Did you have an interest in the arts or comedy or anything at this point?
Yeah, I started playing music around the same time as I started playing football. Yeah, I started playing guitar around when I was like 9 or 10.
Really? That's pretty damn young.
Yeah.
And just because you wanted to, what led to the interest in guitar?
It was a friend of mine actually showed me this Jimi Hendrix song when I was like in, God, I must have been like 3rd grade or something like that.
Yeah.
He had an iPod. Like, remember when iPods came out?
Of course. I
It was
remember
like
everything.
the biggest deal.
An old man.
Yeah. Well, when you were a little kid, it was like mind blowing. You were like,
Sure.
oh, well, yeah.
Things are still mind blowing.
Yeah, seriously. But he had a bunch of Hendrix on it because his dad put all of his favorite music on it to give to his son, you know, as you would in 2002 if you could brainwash your kid.
Yeah.
And that's when it was easy, man. That was before the internet, but we still had the technology to just give to kids. You know?
Yeah.
They couldn't find stuff for their own, but they would just, whatever you
I like how we're
plugged
being
in for them.
nostalgic about somewhat recent technology.
Yeah, right? Hey, 15 years is long enough to where we can start reminiscing.
Yeah, reminiscing about iPods.
Yeah. But he had Purple Haze. He showed me that, and I was like, "This is so cool."
Yeah.
And I went home and I told my mom, I was like, "I want to play guitar." And she's like, "All right." And we found a guitar online that was like $90, little first act thing, and yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
So did you play every day? Like, what did you, when you were 8, 9, you play, is it an electric guitar? What kind of guitar?
It was an acoustic guitar, so it hurt my fingers a lot. I wouldn't play every day.
Yeah. But you played it regularly, it sounds like.
Yeah, I played it as much as I possibly could. I really loved it. I really, music was what I wanted to do with my life up until I was 16, 17. And, like, from a young age, you know? And I put a lot of effort into it, a lot of time, and I can still play okay.
Yeah, when you were in that age, 9 through 16, whatever, you were in different bands, or?
Yeah, I was in some bands through high school. Jammed I was a lead singer of a band in middle school, for like a few months. But then in high school, that was when most of the things I did with music really happened. I tried to do some hip hop producing too in high school. Made a few beats I thought were good.
Yeah.
Remembering them now, they're probably not that great.
So it sounds like you have an eclectic taste in music. You got Hendrix and you're doing hip hop stuff. You're kind of
yeah. I was really into just I don't know. I was like a hippy dippy kid, kind of. It's all vibrations, man. You know, it's all vibrations are the language of the universe, man. That's what music is, and all that shit. You know, and it was I was big into that kind of stuff, and I don't know if it influenced me in comedy at all, but it definitely still keeps me playing music. You know, because I still part of me totally believes that still. You know, that I think there is something, I don't know, sacred or divine about music and playing it. You know what I mean?
think
like,
so.
You know?
I think in some ways, isn't it? You know, it's kind of what separates us from the animals in some ways.
No, and it's like it's like using math and art and I don't know, English if you're singing stuff for like language if you're singing stuff. You know what I mean? And that's that's a whole bunch. That's a lot of different things combined into one thing. You know, and I think it's wonderful, man.
Yeah,
I think it's wonderful.
Funny how you talk like this. I'm not a professional musician. I'm not, working musician or anything, but I play for fun and stuff like that. And just yesterday I jammed with, working musicians who were doing this and committed to doing this full time.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I was almost a little bit over my head to some degree jamming. It was cool just to be there, but they were just writing a song on the fly.
Yeah, man.
But to witness them writing the lyrics and to hear them like figuring out the story, there was like
That's
a real
cool.
narrative to like what they were doing, and it really kind of like had tons of overlap with really any type of storytelling, whether it's screenwriting or television or writing literature. I was like, stories are stories, beginnings, middle, ends, setting things up, foreshadowing, all these elements, overlap into different forms of media for sure.
Yeah, seriously, dude. It's all well, music is just a great way to combine everything because it makes stories, it puts stories to like a fun background, where music is a background for what you're like storytelling. And that's something I really liked about like in high school when I was making like hip hop beats. Like Notorious, like Biggie, you know what I mean? Like, he's a great storyteller, man. That guy, if you listen to a lot of his songs, it's like, oh, that's a 3X story right there. Like, holy shit. Like, that's mind blowing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just it's a great way to tell stories. And maybe that was partially why I like telling stories on stage too, like with stand up, because it's maybe it's some fucking overlay from music. I have no idea, but I'd like to think it's that artful, right?
Yeah. Did you continue to listen to Jimi Hendrix? I'm sure you did, but did you continue to listen to him after you first discovered him?
Yeah, that was
always part of your. And is he your favorite guitar player of all time?
Yeah, he's my favorite artist of all time. I'd say he's all about the preeminent kind of thing. Yeah, he probably was, dude. I don't doubt it. I did enough acid to fucking be about it. That's for sure.
You're kind of you're hippie. In
a
sense, but
I guess.
You don't really.
I don't know. But that's the thing. I played
like
in
hippie. You don't dress the part.
Well, I played in punk bands in high school too, and punks hate hippies and shit. I don't think it's not like I'm a hippie like in the. Hey, it's all peace and love, man. But it's like there are things I think that we're connected to in a universal sense. You know what I mean? And that
I think peace and love are okay too.
No, and I know what you mean. And I am totally about peace and love, but it's also like, hey, we'll go mosh and punch people sometimes too. You know what I mean?
Well, if you gotta punch someone like once a year to be at peace, maybe that's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they're a fucking skinhead or some fucking piece of shit. You know what I mean?
I suppose so. Oh man. We're getting right into it. Okay, so you're in high school. You're playing the music, and what kind of were you watching? Were you into comedy in high school as well? But you hadn't started doing stand up. You were just kind of a fan, or what?
Yeah, I had my dad showed me him and his buddy Kevin would come over every night for Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
I remember we watched fucking every week for years. And one night Kevin brought over Killing Him Softly, the Chappelle special.
That's been mentioned on this podcast several times.
And I don't doubt it.
I haven't memorized. As I tell people just about.
It's one of those. It's like I don't know. It's the purple haze of stand up. I guess you know what I mean. It's the same kind of in that same vein where it's like that is one of the specials that's gonna be regarded as one of the best of all time. You know what I mean? It's great.
I almost didn't even think of that at the time when it came out, and in the ensuing few years, I would be like, "Oh, I like this killing him softly. This is a good killing him."
Yeah, killing him.
The Dave Chappelle. I'm like, I like this, but I don't know. It's not Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Carlin. Those are on another level. But I think that special is definitely right there. And and it's something that's I hear just referenced tons. By comics I interview and just other comics just on TV talking about.
It's at that Abbey Road level of like stand-up specials where it just influenced a lot of people, I think, to want to do it. I think that's maybe the biggest influence it had. Like maybe watching it years ago, it was maybe not because my dad was like, "Yeah, it's a great special. I own it." He
How
bought
old
it.
Were you
but
at
it
the
was
time when you saw this?
I was probably 9,
That's
8 or 9.
probably young.
Real young.
I'm figuring out a lot. It's all starting to make sense. More and more sense.
Yeah. Well, my dad didn't want me to see it, but I like snuck out of my room and watched it, and it was.
That's also been something people have said in that seat that you're in.
I don't doubt it. I'm sure it's
stories of people sneaking and listening and watching things they shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. It's all. Well, then it makes it taboo too. You know what I mean? That's why smoking weed was cool when I was in high school. You know what I mean? It's because you weren't supposed to. Now it's probably lame. I can't imagine being a cool kid smoking weed. It's probably like drugs are lame, loser.
Yeah, no, I smoke weed, so that tells you everything you need to know about whether weed is cool or not anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As long as if there's a CBD option, my friend, she started working like these weed events recently. My roommate, she's like does these big weed expo things downtown and stuff. And there's all these like new products for weed.
Right. And you're not a weed smoker. You're not a weed smoker?
I'm a weed smoker. I smoke a lot of pot.
Yeah, okay.
That's another reason I hope my parents don't hear this podcast. But
they probably grew out in Hawaii.
Yeah, right. No, I don't doubt my parents both smoke. They're getting in their 50s. It's Hawaii, for fuck's sake. You know?
Yeah.
My dad's actually he plays poker with Willie Nelson sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's called me and been like, "Hey, I just smoked weed." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, all right." Like, and he's like, "But guess who with?"
Wow.
Like, what? He's like, Willie Nelson.
Wow, that's like
what?
I don't know what that's like. That's like doing something with the person who's doing something they're really known for doing.
Dude, my dad's doing better in Hollywood than I am, man.
He's not even in Hawaii.
Yeah, he's in Maui.
This might be the clip I have to use to promote this podcast. That's hilarious. Do you use that in your act?
No.
That's not bad.
Yeah, right.
My dad smoked weed with Willie Nelson, so he's doing better in entertainment than I am.
he's fucking cleaning up, man. He plays golf with Don Nelson, the basketball coach.
Oh, I know that guy's a big weed smoker now too. Because I hadn't seen him. He retired obviously, and then Then he made like a sudden appearance, I think, with like a Golden State Warriors reunion or something.
That's funny.
And he came out, and I saw he had like slicked back hair. He was like thin and in shape.
Yeah.
And he had like a cool looking goatee and like a black like suit on. And they're like, "Oh, what have you been up to?" He's like, "I've been smoking a lot of weed."
Dude, I think all my dad's friends are just famous stoners.
Yeah. Well,
he's
maybe
probably smoking a ton of pot.
Yeah, we'll get to him. Maybe he can help me do some booking for this. Do some booking for this show.
Yeah, right. He's like, he'll help me first, and I doubt that'll even happen. So.
Yeah. Oh no.
Not because he doesn't want to, just because what can Don Nelson do for a comedian? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. He's pretty funny. Maybe he can open up for you.
Yeah, right. Or at least get me into a game or something like that.
Exactly. Anyway, how about this question for you? Do you notice any sort of overlap or, common ways in which Hendrix and Dave Chappelle have influenced you as a comedian and artist?
I mean,
it sounds
Chappelle.
like those are your two primary almost influences in comedy and music and just creatively.
Totally, yeah. Chappelle was the first guy I ever saw do stand-up, and that's kind of why. That was kind of a lot of my. I feel like a lot of my style is kind of, hopefully not fucking ripping them off, but I'm sure there's some things that you just subconsciously it's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Daniel Tosh is another guy I feel like I'd subconsciously rip off. But with Hendrix, it was when I stopped playing music. I auditioned for Berklee College of Music in Boston.
Sure.
Like this really prestigious music school.
I know it.
And they liked me. They liked my audition tape, and they were like, "Oh yeah, come fly out for an interview." I had to fly out to San Diego, and I remember studying stuff, and I'm listening to Hendrix, and hearing just I can't remember where I read this, but it was something about how he never really learned any of this theory, and he never learned all the music that I was going to study and all this stuff, and he didn't have to because he just felt it. It was felt in his soul. You know what I mean? It was just part of him. And
yeah,
exactly. It was just like God-given, just born with it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he cultivated it, and he worked really hard at it, and it came out that his brain and his body could totally be in sync through the guitar. You know what I mean? That was fucking amazing. And I thought about it, and I was like, I'm not like this. I don't have that connection with my instrument at all. I've worked really hard to get as good as I am, and I'm not that good. I didn't think I was up to par at all with a lot of my friends, even on island, who weren't going to music school.
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna fly to San Diego. I'm just gonna get rejected, and I was like, if I'm gonna do something creatively, it has to be in the vein of like, I can do this effortlessly, and I can do this subconscious. I can do this in my sleep. Like, this is just how I am. He was a musical guy. I don't know if I'm a musical guy. I think I love it, and I think I wish I was, but I don't know if I really am. And a few months later, I looked up online if there was any comedy open mics, like stand-up open mics, because I had been watching a lot of stand-up leading up to that also. And there was an open mic at Threes Bar and Grill. Or not Threes, Stella Blues over in Maui. This place is closed now. It's like an ice cream shop or some bullshit now. It's fucking, I hate it. But they had an open mic, and it was all ages. They'd let anyone come up, and I went out and I tried stand-up for the first time, and it was like, oh, this is This is it.
How old were you that you said you were then?
I was 17.
Okay, so you're still in high school.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to try this stand up? It was
just I've been watching a lot of comedy. Daniel Tosh's Completely Serious, I think it just come out. I loved that special. Louis C.K. taboo fucking topic, but he was he's at the top of his game when I was in my developmental years. That guy was the funniest motherfucker I'd ever seen too. It was so kind of combination of those three. I was like, man, this seems like something I could do. This is something I really enjoy watching. I think I'd go home. I remember me and my friends, we'd go home and watch the specials on Comedy Central, and we'd memorize as much as we could so we can come back to school and just repeat the jokes at each other. And we'd practice that shit. Like we were running bits in high school, and we were like, I might as well try my own stuff. And so I sat down with a friend, a guy I was making beats for, this dude who was rapping, and I went to his place and I wrote out a couple stories and tried stuff off him, and he's like, yeah, it's pretty funny, dude. I went out and it was like, oh, okay, I can do this.
And you got laughs the very first?
Yeah.
Wow,
and then I got
awesome.
laughs the very first 5 times, and then for a year I bombed. And I was like, no, I need to get back there to where I was doing well. And yeah, I think I'm definitely beyond that now. But yeah.
So you bombed. Do you think you bombed because you did so well at first and you're like, this is easy, and then you're like, okay, so any new stuff I'm gonna write is gonna be great too?
Well, it was also even the old stuff that was working stopped working, which is something.
How does something stop working though? If it's new audiences hearing it, why would it not work?
It's a thing I think a lot of comics have a hard time with, is saying things like it's the first time you're saying it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
It's one thing. It's like you're a director. You know what it's an actor. In their 50th take, they're not going to be as excited to deliver
makes sense.
the big dramatic line. You know what I mean? It's going to be feel a little more phoned in, a little more too overthought. You know what I mean? A little more you're kind of in your head about it. And I don't think I knew how to get out of that then. I was still 17. So it's I didn't know how to get out of anything.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I wonder, how do you... Because you're still working out material a lot of the time, I'm sure, and doing the same bits over and over again, trying to perfect them. How do you avoid that that getting bored with your own material, basically?
No, seriously. And that's a big problem that I run into a lot. And it's just writing new things on it is how I've found I can get myself out of it, is write a new joke on that same premise, see if you can come up with a new line, a new angle, and then all of a sudden, in order to get to that new angle, you got to get through the bit that you've always done. All of a sudden, this whole thing seems fresh to you, and you're excited to deliver all the setup so you can get to this new angle.
Yeah, I got you. That makes sense.
And even if it's once you think of something's totally written out, all the way you want it to be, I swap jokes out with bits. You know what I mean? So some nights I'll do the same premise, but I'll do different jokes on the premise, just to keep it interesting for me, because otherwise the audience is going to see that, they're going to see that I don't care. They're going to be like, why do I care if this guy doesn't care?
That's interesting to hear, the whole mindset, and how that all, the mechanics of all that in your brain, and how that all works, the whole process.
It's got to be exciting for you, because if it's not exciting for you, then it's not going to be exciting for anyone else.
But maybe some comedians have a higher tolerance for,
I'm sure,
doing the same things over and again, well, and knowing that they're going to work. They are able to deliver that, just turn that switch on and not be bored or complacent about their performance.
I think that's where some acting training would go a long way. You know what I mean? Something like that, where it can just be hey, you're not just being on stage, you're playing a character. You're performing right now.
You're playing a comedian, yeah.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Something like that. Or my buddy, a dude who I started with in Maui, actually, who helped me get into comedy when I was in high school. My roommate Chino LaForge. He has a great he had a great line for me one time, and I was talking about how I'm bored about all these bits, and he's like, "Hey, you're a performer. Perform." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay." that's a good way to think about it, or you just gotta. I'm here not because it's interesting for me, but because I have to sell these things to these people. You're partially like a salesman, But I think it's more fun if you make it fun for yourself instead of
Yeah.
just forcing yourself to be fake fun.
Yeah, probably. Sometimes you gotta just get through and push yourself, I guess. So you started at 17, and after that first show, what kind of happened? Where did you go from there? You said you bombed for the next year, and then and then what happened? I guess
it was
throughout that year, and then after that,
I eventually found my footing again, and then as I was looking at colleges, I decided against going to music school, and I got into a bunch of what would have been really fun colleges to go to, but I ended up going to Seattle University because it was in the middle of a city.
Sure.
And it was a place I could do stand-up in, which, when it came down to it, that was why I picked Seattle U. It's probably the wrong reason why you pick a college. But,
I mean, not necessarily, but maybe it shouldn't be the only reason or the primary
yeah,
one.
Exactly. It's like, all right, so I'm going to go to college so I can do something other than college around it.
But that, in some ways, that's smart. Like, anyway, yeah.
Yeah. But, so yeah, I was out in Seattle for 3 years.
Did you get homesick? Did you miss Hawaii? How did your family react to you? I mean, did they expect you to go to college in Hawaii?
Yeah, they totally expect me to leave.
They did expect you to leave.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
they're from the mainland, so
Right.
they were like, get the hell out of Hawaii, go see the rest of the world,
Sure.
come back if you really want to. But yeah, I was in Seattle for 3 years. I didn't finish school. I was just in a bad place. I was selling coke.
Wow.
I was doing all this horrible shit.
How did you get? Why? How did that all happen? It's just because you never been on your own, or just what?
It was an easy to make money. My buddy was he wanted to get into it. I was like, yeah, I'll make some money with you. Why not? And it was insane the amount of money we made. It was absurd. But it was also like, I'm doing drugs all the time. I'm like around drugs all the time, around drug addicts all the time. And it was just such this toxic fucking cycle of just bad shit all the time. I was hardly doing schoolwork. And
was your stand-up suffering?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I had some weeks I would go by I wasn't doing stand-up. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I got to get out of here. And so I dropped out my junior year, moved back to Hawaii for... how long? I don't know, like 6 months or something.
Did your parents and family know what was going on?
No.
They didn't know. What did they think when you...
Well, it was just like, I just couldn't hack it. Wasn't doing enough with school and stuff. You know what I mean? Wasn't paying attention
They know
enough.
what really happened now, or they know the whole story now?
No, I don't think. Hell no.
Are you sure they're not going to listen to this?
It'll be fine.
You're hilarious.
Hey, man, good listening is good listening, goddammit. That's committed to the craft.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom. Love you. What the hell are we talking about?
No.
Yeah, I was back in Hawaii for like 6 months. I was working as a bartender at this one of the hotels, funny enough. And
did you have to get trained to be a bartender? How do you learn to become a bartender?
I just I interviewed and I was like, hey, just dropped out of college, trying to get back on my feet. They liked me. A bunch of friends were working there too, so it was
they train you because like
so they trained me on all that stuff.
More than just making 2 drinks, I assume, right? You got to kind of know how to do all these.
Yeah, they trained me over.
Okay.
So over the course of a couple months, they trained me over how to become a bartender, and then toward the last few months while I was there, I was bartending like morning shifts, and all that stuff, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. Fucking beachfront bar,
Yeah, I was gonna say
it was
morning
beautiful
shifts, but in Hawaii, it's a whole different.
It's
a whole different world.
Yeah, it was great. And plus, it's at a hotel too, so people are just drinking all day, partying. Exactly. No, not even mimosas, dude. Just fucking
beer.
margaritas and
anything. Yeah,
just
why
getting
not?
hammered.
Start at 9 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Dude. People would come in, man. People would they're ready to party out
You're
there.
on vacation. I mean, or you live there, or it's Hawaii. When in Rome, when in Hawaii.
Yeah. No, it's every time I go back, man, we're drinking the whole time.
I'm sure.
Hanging out on the beach and shit. It's
I
great.
believe it. Did you grow up near the beach? I mean, if you're in Hawaii, you can't be too far from the beach no matter
so
where
my
you
mom's
are.
after my parents divorced, my mom moved to a place that's like 400 feet from the water.
Damn.
And so it was great. Just walk right down. That's any place in Hawaii though.
Yeah.
It's not like it's specific to one neighborhood.
Did you
anywhere in Kihei, fucking pick a spot. You're 500, 600 feet.
Did you get back into stand up when you were bartending or?
Yeah, so there's a scene out in Maui still, and so I was back. I was still doing a lot of stand up in Seattle as I was leaving. Because it was like, all right, I'm gonna be in Hawaii for a little while. Not a lot of stage time, obviously. So trying to get as much as I can. So got a little bit. Last few months and last couple months I was in Seattle. Last month, honestly, because it was such a sudden move. I wasn't expecting to leave until it was like, I gotta get out of here. But
when you went back to Hawaii from Seattle, it sounded like you already knew that it was going to be a temporary thing.
Yeah, the plan was to move to LA.
All along.
It was like, all right, I'm leaving here. Well, the plan originally was to move to San Diego. So I was gonna move home, and then we were gonna meet up back in Seattle, and me and a few other Seattle comics, Mike Mazzolotti, Michael Evans, Nolan Culver. Or Nolan Culver was already down here, actually. So Mazzolotti, Evans, my buddy Ryan Ahern, Levi Manis, who's back up in Seattle now. I think that's it. But we were all planning on moving down here
to San Diego.
Why
San Diego, not LA?
It was a fun scene. We had toured down there before.
I know they have some clubs down there.
And it's the Madhouse was a lot of fun. We didn't do the Palace, but now I love the Palace. They have me down there every once in a while. There's a lot of really great. It's a good scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not LA.
Sure.
We thought we weren't ready for LA yet. It's big city.
Sure.
We want to be prepared and stuff. But then Mike Mazzolotti got a job at Starburns Castle. You remember Dan Harmon's
thing?
I
know Starburns.
So they were gonna do the sound or something, like some podcast thing there, and Starburns shut down right as we were about to move. So we were like, well, I guess we're just planning on moving to LA anyway. Might as well stick with it, and came out here 2 years ago now, and it's been fucking great, dude.
Awesome.
Life's good.
What was it like what do you remember when you first got to LA?
I remember it was...
you grew up in Long Beach. So,
yeah, so
but
it was
not
kind
that
of
remember, you were 6 years old.
No,
had you been to LA since between the ages of 6 and early 20s, whatever?
Yeah, I had some friends in college who were down here, so I'd visit them over in college and stuff. Actually, buddy lives 10 minutes from here.
Yeah.
we'd stay around here.
There you go.
When I was visiting, and so that was why I actually got a place in Van Nuys. I was like, I really like Van Nuys, because my plan was to just move back to Long Beach and see how it went. But really glad I didn't do that. It's so out of the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know people that live there and do the commute, but it's far.
It's hard to do stand up just because a lot of the comedy stuff is in Hollywood. It's in the Valley. It's in Mid City.
There's
you know
some
what
stuff
I mean?
down in Long Beach, but again, not
exactly. Well, it's like that's kind of the Orange County comedy scene,
right
down there. You know what I mean? And that's somehow different than LA. I don't know how, but it is. It's just a little bit the way the jokes people laugh at. The way the scene's set up. There's not many clubs down there. But yeah, and so it's I'm really glad I came out here. It was definitely familiar though. You know what I mean? Like when I first landed, it was like, oh, the freeways, dude.
Just because you've been here and you kind of have some early memories here, it just felt like
it felt like home.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great.
And so the transition made easy. I hit the mic scene pretty hard when I first came out here.
Yeah, and how did that go when you first started doing shows?
It was great. When I first came out here, man, I got more shows out here than I ever did in Seattle.
Well, there's just more opportunity. Yeah, not that you're not talented and hardworking.
No, not at all. Not at all. But I mean, it was for a lot of people. I think their experiences when they move down here, they don't. They feel kind of isolated. And they feel like they're alone out here. When I moved down here, man, it was like there was nothing but new friends and nothing but new people to meet and shit. And I had kind of the opposite experience that a lot of people do coming out here, which I thought was lucky. You know what I mean? It's not every person goes through that. You know what I mean?
I've been obviously hanging out with tons and tons of comedians lately, and it seems like, from what I see, it's a pretty supportive community for the most part. I'm sure there's plenty of exceptions, but just, I feel like the reputation, of stand-up comedy and comics is that it's like this cutthroat business and people are stealing and it's super competitive and to get on shows.
Yeah, and it totally is.
But have you experienced like any of those negative vibes or negative experiences personally?
Yeah, totally. There's people who are angry and jealous, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll just talk shit for no reason. You're like, all right, man, whatever. You can be a fucking asshole all you want. I know where that comes from, and that's fine.
Right. Is it that do you ever get like people talking shit to you directly, other comics or whatever? Or is it more you're hearing through the grapevine?
It's more like talking shit directly, the way people kind of say shit to you. You know what I mean? The way it's just like this
tone and attitude and just
well, and the things people say too. You know what I mean? Where it's like. So you'll get called out. It's like, oh, you fucking got that thing through just hanging out, huh? You knew a guy, huh? Is that it?
Like, they're undermining your talent.
Exactly, or just undermining the work, even. You know what I mean? And it's just that's just how it goes, though. People get jealous, you know.
Right.
Instagram and social media doesn't help any of that shit either, you know, because get other people's successes thrown in your face all day.
Are most of the people who you think or either express jealousy towards you or that you've seen express jealousy towards other, is it because, you know, they're not successful? Most people who are doing well are too busy focusing on doing positive things and being positive to dwell on negative emotions like being jealous.
Yeah, no one who's actually doing well is ever fucking done any shady shit to anybody.
Yeah,
you know,
they're not. Shit. I think everyone
not like not shady shit, but throw shade at anybody. Right. Rather, like no one fucking who's actually doing shit in comedy is sitting there stewing in jealousy and thinking about how other people are acting and shit. They're going out and they're doing stand up and they're writing and they're fucking trying to be successful.
Right.
And I think for the most part, people are like that.
Yeah, I think everyone has insecurities and has feelings of jealousy or envy. It's like, wow, I feel like I'm as good as that person or I deserve that. But you know, that doesn't mean you're gonna like talk shit about someone or do anything vindictive or like the word you use, stew, and let it just like consume you to the point where it's like gonna make you like
that's
this negative person.
Yeah, you just become fucking just this pissed off asshole.
Yeah,
you're like you're not gonna get any better like that. You're not gonna get on anything like that. You're not gonna make any friends like that either. And that's
unless pissed off asshole is like your persona.
Yeah, exactly.
Then maybe it could work for you.
Yeah, right. And then you actually have to be doing the work and getting on shows instead of just complaining about people.
How do you kind of describe your persona on stage or your kind of style?
I think I'm like pretty loose.
Yeah, I've seen you.
Kind of goofy. I like to tell stories. I like I'd like to think I'm clever. I'd like to think so.
That's commonplace amongst comedians.
Yeah. I think the stuff I talk about is a little bit like thought out and kind of it's not all just goofy observation. You know, I like to think there's some actual thought behind what I'm saying. You know, at least for the most part, not all of it, but some of it at least. But yeah, and that's another thing. I don't really know how to describe my my stuff, and that's the hardest part. If you find a clip and you put it in the podcast,
I'll see what I can. No, it's all
I'll send you one.
I'm just kind of curious how you might react to that question.
I'd say I am pretty loose, friendly, affable. I like to tell stories.
I get it.
I like to make you laugh at your everyday things. I don't know, dude. That's every comic. You know what I mean?
I got you.
I don't really come check me out.
Yeah,
and that's the best way to find out.
Yeah. If you had a chance to meet Jimi Hendrix, you know, if he came back to Earth or in the next life, what would you say to that dude?
Dude, I don't even know, man. What
you'd jam with him. You'd want to you perform for him.
Dude, I'd love to. I don't know if I'd do stand-up for him.
Well, just one-on-one would be quite awkward.
Yeah,
like
right. That'd be terrible.
To a show. You'd be like, Jimmy, come to my show.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Let me think about this. I'll give it an actual answer. I think I'd
just tell him what you told me about his inspiration, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I don't know if I'd go pour my heart out to him.
Yeah.
But it'd be it'd be like hey, thanks for everything. And then dude, you want to jam? I'd totally jam with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
I'd suck it up, dude, but I wouldn't give a shit, dude.
Yeah.
I'd be fucking up left and right. But he'd probably be too high to even notice. So
no, he'd notice. But he probably would be okay with it.
Yeah, exactly. No, but he yeah, man, I imagine he'd be down to jam.
Yeah, probably.
'Cause it's all that's the coolest thing about music, which is the biggest thing I love about comedy too, is that it's all feeling other people. You know, it's all when you're playing music with people, you're vibing with someone in the room, you're connecting in a way that you couldn't through words usually. You know what I mean? And you couldn't through normal conversation.
Sure.
You know, and you're synced up with another person like that. And
yeah, no, exactly.
I feel the same way with stand-up, you know, when you're on stage and things are going great, you're killing, everything you're saying is funny. It's almost like you are like the instrument almost, you know? It's almost like you're fucking playing. It's
Look
like
at that, man. That's I like that.
yeah,
That's
it's
deep.
like it's kind of the same. I see it kind of the same way, you know, when you're kind of the ebb and flow, you're the focal point of all the energy, you know? And everything you say, it comes out, it hits them, they laugh, it comes back to you, it hits out, comes back to you, and it all kind of circles around in a rhythm. And it's all
amazing how like you can, or a comic can be up there and establish that so fast, or not establish it so fast.
Yeah,
like,
and that's the difference between the greats.
Yeah, within the first few words or lack of words or facial expressions, like right away, it's like boom, we're engaged, or like we're disengaged. You have to work to get us back.
Yeah, exactly. It's how fast can you get people onto your vibration, man?
Yeah, there you go. What would you say is like your dream or goal with comedy? I know you were telling me earlier that you know off the recording that you just want to work and do comedy, and that's like your focus.
Yeah.
Is it to have like a Netflix special or an HBO special, or
yeah, man, I want to be
writing as well. You're saying.
Yeah, I'd love to write a movie, or I have me and my writing partner Eric Friedman. We've been writing for
long enough.
Shit, yeah, probably almost a year now, and it's we're hoping we get to get something off the ground soon enough. You know, screenplay wise, pilot wise, whatever it is. But really, everything that I want to do outside of stand up, I'm just hoping builds towards stand up. You know, I just want to do comedy, man. I just want to do stand up like that, and it's specials. You know, I want to do I want to be like where Tosh or Chappelle was, kind of for me. You know what I mean? I want to see some kid when he's 9 years old sneaking up to watch Willie Simon specials. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
something like that. You know, to see the cycle continue.
It's gonna have to sneak in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. I hope so, man.
Yeah, to see you, I'm pretty sure.
That's the goal, man. Make it taboo, or else it's not fun, right?
You got to do you. You got to do you. No, that's cool. So you're just kind of balancing the stand up and the writing, and just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, exactly, man. We're I'm hoping one of these things that we're pitching gets picked up. One of these pitches works. One of these something hits eventually, just so I can start really
at the wall. God knows I am, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell
Dude.
you
You know how it is, man.
I
It's just
do.
how many projects can I get done
Right.
until something
How many
happens.
How many hours are in a day again?
Yeah,
How
right.
many things can I work on? No, that's cool. So what about anything else you're working on, or any shows upcoming? I'll give you the floor. Why don't you promote, tell
Yeah,
people your
totally.
social media?
I'm you can find me at William F. Salmon on all things Twitter, Instagram. I think that's it.
What's the significance of that handle?
It's William F. Simon is my name.
Yeah.
And then Salmon rhymes with Simon, kind of. Not
Oh,
really.
okay.
It doesn't rhyme, but it sounds kind of similar. It's a stupid joke. My roommate was like, one time I was drunk throwing up. I had my buddy. He works for the UFC. He works for Conor McGregor's website, and so we were at this UFC karate event, and it was like death karate.
Wow.
So it was like you're not allowed to do anything but karate, but it's like a UFC fight where they beat the fuck out of each other.
Damn.
Like with karate though. So it was really fun to watch. I've never seen anything like it. We talked to God, there's this old Swedish UFC fighter. What is his name? God, I can't remember his name, but he has a lot of opinions about the wall and how it should be built and all this stuff. So we're like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Hanging out all these old racist UFC fighters, and I get home and I am hammered beyond fucking belief. I'm like in a suit, and I'm on my bathroom floor, just like vomiting like super hard. And my roommate comes up and he's like, "You need some fresh water, Willie Salmon?" He has some water in his hand, and he cracks up laughing, and I'm like throwing up.
He said your name wrong by accident.
No, on purpose.
Oh, okay.
It was just like a joke. He's like, "You need some fresh water, Willie Simon?" And I'm like throwing up, and he's like, when you sober up, you'll appreciate that." And I remember waking up, and I'm like, "That's hilarious." So that's where William F. Salmon comes from. Long story for that,
Yeah,
but
you're dedicated to comedy, even in your worst moments. You're always looking for bits and jokes. And
yeah, exactly.
that you can
Dude.
use for promotion.
Yeah, right. I don't think it was that deep, but I'd like to think.
Sure.
Maybe I'm a marketing genius. Who
You
knows?
are.
Maybe
Why
I'm
not?
just an idiot.
You had me. You had me hooked. Okay, so we got your social media. Any other shows upcoming? Just look for just look for them on social media. Is that the best way?
You can check out williesimon.com for all my shows. Tuesday, November 12th, up in Santa Barbara at Santa Barbara Wine Therapy with Brent Pella. Flappers Comedy Club on Sunday, November 17th. I'm featuring down there. And I think that's it, dude. That's all I want to plug. Those are the fun shows.
Sounds good. Cool. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for dropping by the studio.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun, man.
I still hate Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Go Pats, baby. Jets suck.
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to argue with that at the moment. All right, man. It's been real.
Yeah, thanks
again,
man.
Peace. So there you have it. My conversation with Willie Simon. You know, if this podcasting thing doesn't work out, maybe I'll just start selling cocaine. Not using, just selling. I think that's the key with this. But for real, I thank Willie for his time. I really appreciate it. That was fun to hang with him. And for everything about this show, just, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always. And let's talk soon. Peace.